Have you ever been solving your favorite 2x2 and thought, man, I wish I could just stop and make this cube a little bit bigger? No? Well, me neither. But GuoGuan, a sub-brand of Moyu, doesn't care, and they're going to let you do it anyway, because innovation. This is the GuoGuan XingHen TSM, a 2x2 speed cube that can change its size. Now, is this feature totally stupid, or will it revolutionize the speed cubing market? Well, let's go ahead and find out. But first, this package was sent to me by thecubicle.com. Be sure and use discount code Z3Cubing for 5% off anything from their store. Alright, let's go ahead and get into this package here. I am quite excited to get into this puzzle, not just to try out this cool and kind of ridiculous adjustability feature, but also to try out the 2x2 itself, because I really haven't seen much when it comes to 2x2 innovation over the last couple of years. So it looks like we have this cool little tool here that is used to adjust the size of the cube, as well as a couple extra magnets down inside of there, a little instruction booklet, as well as these few little cards here. Let's get this screwdriver out. There we go. And here is the cube itself. And here we go. So let's do a quick overview of the cube itself, then we'll try out the performance real quick, and then we'll get on to this potentially useful size adjustment feature. This cube is $15, which would be good for a high-end cube and okay for a mid-range cube. As a comparison, my current main, the Valk 2M, is a great cube, and it is $20, but you can get a decent budget cube for less than $10. This cube size starts at 50 millimeters, which is a tiny bit smaller than the Valk's 51, and it can get up to 51.5 millimeters. Now, the biggest deal breaker about this cube for most people is that it does not come in stickerless. It only comes in the black stickered version. So of course, most people prefer stickerless cubes nowadays. So it is unfortunate that this one has to have stickers, but I imagine it has something to do with the size adjustment system that we'll take a look at again very soon. All right, on to the performance of the cube itself. Let's go ahead and do some first turns. All right, so first word that comes to mind is kind of snappy. As you can see, it's kind of loud. The pieces are just kind of clacking together as you turn it. But actually, when you get into an algorithm like this, it's not really as bad. So just turning a single side like this, it feels smooth, but kind of in a dry way. It definitely needs some lube. But the bigger thing I'm noticing is that it feels just very bumpy. Like, you of course have that nice magnetic click at each turn, but there's almost like there's more bumps in between each turn. Like, you kind of feel bump, 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 bump as you're turning it. And I think if we turn it like part way like this, there's almost like a second magnetic bump just a little bit past the turn. It's not quite as strong, but you can definitely feel a little bit of something there. And actually, I just went and tried out this old magnetic 2x2 that I magnetized myself a long time ago, and I'm getting that same sort of bumpy feeling to the turning, like you kind of have these extra little mini clicks at the edge of every real click. And I think the reason for that is because with every pair of corner pieces that attract together, you actually have two pairs of magnets to get it to work on an even layered puzzle. So as you start to turn the cube like this, those two pairs of magnets kind of slide past each other like this, and these two magnets right here are actually repelling each other. So you kind of get this weird sort of floaty feeling, which creates that sort of mini click after the real click like this. Now, I sort of forgot about this because the Valk solves this problem by actually moving the magnets from these outer corner pieces into these inner edge pieces. So it kind of works more like on a 3x3 on this, which makes it feel a lot smoother and a lot less bumpy. But presumably, GuoGuan has not done that, and they have this weird sort of floaty feeling on the inside. Plus, the magnets are stronger than on my cube, so it just makes it feel kind of weird. Now, this isn't actually a huge problem because once you start turning fast enough, that bumpiness kind of goes away in the same way that the magnets on a normal cube kind of go away once you start turning fast enough. But as you can see here, even after doing those few moves right there, it still kind of ended up in this position. So I imagine it could still have some impacts on the cube's stability. Yeah, it kind of just likes ending up like this instead of being fully turned. In terms of corner cutting, it can do 45 almost kind of if you push hard enough, which isn't really great for a 2x2. In comparison, the Valk can do that pretty much effortlessly. It can even go a little bit further. And if you go too far on the Valk, it just backwards corner cuts. Whereas this one, the backwards corner cutting is, I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. I would imagine this would make it a little bit less fluid as you're turning, just because you have to have a little bit more precision as you're making each turn. So let's just do a quick solve to confirm that. So let's use the yellow side here, and we will have a case like that. So let's hold it like this. 3, 2, 1, and go. And there we go. So yeah, it's a little bit less fluid than the Valk. So with its slightly worse turning and slightly more annoying magnets, I would say this is a pretty mediocre mid-range 3x3. For $15, it's okay, but you could probably get something a little bit better. Unless, of course, this whole adjustable size feature is really what you're after. So let's go ahead and check that out. So this is the tool that you use to take off these corner pieces and then adjust the size. I've seen a bunch of pictures of people doing this. So I imagine you just put it on there and pull. Maybe? Yeah, there we go. So if we look at this little mechanism here, as you can see, this little white thing is the lowest it gets right now. And then you just kind of spin it with your fingers. And there we go. Now it's 1 notch higher. We spin it again. And now it is 2 notches higher. And now if we put the corner piece right back on, now it is bigger. Okay, that looks kind of weird, but kind of cool. It is on there pretty solidly, actually. So as I go around the cube and move all the corner pieces to the biggest size, it looks like this feature works kind of like Moyu's dual adjustment system, where you kind of have this plastic thing that spins around, and as you spin it, it gets bigger or smaller, which of course makes the corners get closer or further away from the center of the cube. Now before I put this last corner piece on, I just noticed you can actually see the magnets that I was talking about earlier. So as you can see, on each set of 2 corner pieces, you actually have 2 sets of magnets holding them together to get it to work as an even layered cube, whereas the Valk does things a little bit differently. And so that's why you kind of have that bumpy feel when you're turning slow. Anyway, here is the cube at 51.5 millimeters. It doesn't sound like a lot, adding just 1.5 millimeters, but it definitely feels like a lot. It feels like a pretty big 2x2 in my hands now. And I'm not sure if I just forgot what the cube was like before, but somehow I feel like I actually like it better now that the cube is bigger. Maybe it's just that I was expecting it to turn worse now that you have kind of these weird gaps in between the pieces. But no, it actually feels totally solid, totally like a normal 2x2. It's just a little bit bigger. I know some people really prefer bigger cubes or smaller cubes. I don't really care, but switching back and forth between the two just doesn't really feel like the right solution. You kind of have this weird look to the cube, even if it doesn't perform any differently. And yeah, if it really is a big deal, just release maybe a 50mm version and a 51.5mm version for people who want to choose one or the other. So yeah, unless you have some reason for changing the size of your cube from one solve to the next, I'm going to come down on the side saying this feature is useless, but still kind of cool. Even when cube companies started introducing adjustable magnet strength, I was thinking, yeah, it's a cool idea, but how many people are actually going to switch it from the default value? I mean, magnet strength is something that's pretty agreed upon, just like cube size. I feel like as long as you have adjustable tensions and elasticity, then you're good. That's all you need. And speaking of elasticity, Moyu, if you want to add some cool features to your 2x2s, figure out a way to put the dual adjustment system in there. I think it would be really cool to be able to adjust the elasticity on a 2x2. Also, while you're at it, change the magnets to make it work more like the Valk so you don't get that bumpy feeling. Anyway, I don't think I've recommended this cube too highly, but if for some reason you want a 2x2 that has an adjustable size, then I guess go for it, link in the description. But I guess more probably, if you want an actually good 2x2, this would be my recommendation, the Valk 2M right now. So that'll also be linked in the description for you to buy instead at thecubicle.com. Be sure and use discount code Z3Cubing while you're there to get 5% off anything. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at this unique new adjustment feature, and I'll see you guys next time.